The late summer breeze fluttered gently over Buckingham Palace as the mid-afternoon crowd swelled. Tourists jostled for photos, laughter mingling with the flutter of Union Jack flags, and camera shutters clicked like a metronome of memory-making. Guard Edward Monroe, 38, stood silent at his post, his crimson tunic cut sharp against the ivory stone walls. Medals gleamed across his chest, catching flecks of golden light. To most, he looked like just another statue in uniform. But inside, the mind of a soldier never rests. You stand still for hours, but your instincts never stop moving. His old sergeant's words echoed. He scanned the crowd with peripheral awareness, noting shapes, gestures, breathe-in rhythms. He noticed the young couple with the toddler giggling in circles, the elderly veteran nodding quietly in recognition, the group of teenage girls filming a TikTok, the street performer with a deck of cards, harmless for now. Near the front line stood a 7-year-old boy, Noah, small and pale, with shaggy blonde hair and a blue backpack clutched tightly in front of him. His mother knelt beside him, whispering something. Monroe noticed the boy's chest rise too quickly. Shallow breathing, hands shaking, sweat above the lips. That's not just excitement. That's respiratory distress. Monroe's eyes flicked down subtly. Through a small open flap of the backpack, he saw it. A blue inhaler. "Mommy, I don't feel good," Noah whimpered. His mother opened the bag. In that exact moment, a slight nudge from the side. A man with sunglasses, camera bag over shoulder, walked by, brushing past the child. 1 second later, the inhaler was gone. Too smooth, too fast. Monroe's internal alarm rang loud. Sleight of hand, precision timing, and then vanishing into the crowd. Monroe's posture didn't change, but his grip on his rifle subtly tightened. Noah started to panic. I can't breathe. I can't." The mother frantically searched the bag. "Where is it? I put it in here. I swear." The crowd began to murmur. Some started filming. Others stared. One tourist tried to approach. The guard still hadn't moved, but his eyes had locked onto one man, the same man who'd brushed past the child, now walking briskly toward the exit gate, blending into a tour group. The mother now screamed, "He took it! He stole his inhaler! Please, somebody help!" Tourists froze. Phones stayed up, but no one moved. And then Monroe did. With military precision and explosive speed, the guard broke protocol. Gasps erupted as Guard Edward Monroe suddenly stepped forward. 2 sharp strides that cracked like thunder against the polished stone courtyard. The sound alone was enough to hush the crowd. A Queen's Guard moving was unheard of. But Monroe didn't care about tradition at that moment. He had seen the boy's lips go blue. This isn't ceremony anymore. This is war, in a new uniform. No one blocked his path. His rifle was cradled securely, not threatening. His eyes were locked on the thief, now realizing something had gone wrong. The man, a wiry figure in his late 30s, dressed like a tourist, picked up pace. Wrong move. Monroe shouted, his voice low but cutting like steel. "Halt! Now!" The thief broke into a sprint. Without hesitation, Monroe launched forward. The crowd parted as Monroe accelerated. His boots slammed against the courtyard, slicing through air with practiced agility. He no longer looked like a statue. He looked like a war machine. The thief dodged left, knocking over a bench. Monroe vaulted it without missing stride. Noah collapsed into his mother's arms behind them. "Help him!" she cried to anyone who would listen. No one moved. Their eyes were locked on the sprinting guard, the fleeing thief, and the rising tension of a battle that had just begun. The thief ducked behind a fountain. Monroe anticipated it, looped right, cut off his escape, and in one clean, trained sweep, tackled him. The man hit the ground with a painful grunt, Monroe's knee against his spine. "Bag! Now!" The thief didn't fight. He couldn't. Monroe's strength wasn't just physical. It was decades of war, of loss, of duty fused into muscle and resolve. He reached into the jacket, found it. The inhaler. Edward didn't speak. He turned and ran, back through the crowd. Tourists made way without hesitation. The aura around him had changed. No longer ceremonial, but sacred. He reached Noah, now limp in his mother's arms, pale and wheezing. Monroe dropped to one knee, gently brought the inhaler to the child's lips. "Breathe, son. In. Deep now. 1, 2, 3. The boy gasped, then coughed, then breathed. A ragged inhale gave way to the first sound of life. The mother sobbed. "You. How? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." Monroe nodded once, still kneeling, still calm. He looked around. The crowd was silent. Across the courtyard, a sharp shout broke the stillness. "Guard Monroe!" 2 senior officers had emerged from the palace doors, storming forward with deliberate steps. Brass gleamed from their hats, authority etched into every corner of their posture. Monroe stood, handing the inhaler case to the boy's mother, then faced the officers. "You broke protocol," the first officer barked. "You moved." "I acted in the interest of life preservation," Monroe said, voice steady. The crowd's ears burned. The cameras turned. "This will be reviewed," the second officer added, "by Parliament, if necessary." Monroe didn't flinch. "Then let them review it. I'd rather be court-martialed for moving than bury a child for standing still." The thief, now cuffed and escorted by local police, screamed in vain. "You've got nothing on me. I didn't do nothing. That kid was fine, wasn't even choking." But his bag told another story. Inside 2 passports, 5 stolen wallets, a luxury watch, and a full list of stolen medications. The officer looked at the name on the passport. The man was wanted for theft in 3 countries. The crowd gasped. A woman whispered, "That guard." He stopped something much worse. Within an hour, the scene had gone viral. Clips flooded TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. Queen's Guard breaks protocol to save child. From stone still to lightning fast. Who is this man? Reporters swarmed. Edward gave no interviews, no speeches. He simply stood back at his post. But something had changed. Tourists no longer smirked at his silence. They saluted it. The next morning, Monroe arrived for duty. Waiting by the line. Noah, holding a small drawing of a red guard, standing next to a blue sky and a big inhaler. "Thank you for saving me," he said. Monroe smiled, not with his mouth, but with his eyes. "I'm glad you're breathing, son. That's all that matters." 3 days later, Wellington Barracks, internal tribunal room, a solemn chamber, clean, cold, ceremonial. Edward Monroe stands at attention. Before him sit 3 senior military officers and a civil representative from Parliament. On the long oak table, a thick dossier with his name on it. Guardsman Monroe, the lead officer begins, "You knowingly broke Article 14, C, absolute stillness, while on post." "Yes, sir." "You left your post, made physical contact with a civilian, and engaged in unauthorized pursuit." "Yes, sir." "Do you deny any of this?" "No, sir. I confirm it all." A pause. The Parliament observer clears her throat. "And yet, you may have saved a child's life and uncovered an international fugitive." Monroe doesn't respond. Another pause. The officers glance at one another. The lead officer leans forward. "We've received over 4,000 letters in the last 48 hours. From citizens, from veterans, school teachers, parents, children, even from abroad. Some contain drawings, some contain money, all contain one phrase." He opens a letter and reads aloud, "Thank you for standing for us, not just still." Another officer chuckles. "They're calling you the living medal." Monroe says nothing. He simply blinks. "No disciplinary action will be taken," the lead officer declares. "In fact, we're recommending commendation." BBC. A camera crew visits Monroe's humble flat. He wears no uniform, just a gray t-shirt and old cargo pants. A teacup in hand. "I don't know what all the fuss is about," he says simply. "You broke rules to save a child." "I broke silence, not honor." The reporter leans forward. "Did you hesitate at all?" Monroe sips his tea. Number. "Because I've seen the alternative. I've lived it." Flash of past memory. A boy in a village in Afghanistan. A missed moment. A buried regret. I won't let another child slip through cracks that rules are too rigid to bend for. Later that evening, Monroe checks his mailbox. Inside, a sealed white envelope. No stamp. Hand-delivered. He opens it. A letter. A crayon drawing. A photo. The letter reads, "Mr. Guardman, thank you for giving me air when I couldn't find it. I want to be strong and still like you one day. Love, Noah, age 7. The photo is of Noah smiling, holding the same inhaler. The drawing? Monroe with a superhero cape, standing tall in red, gold, and quiet dignity. Monroe exhales slowly, and for the first time in a long time, his lips almost curve into a smile. 1 week later, Monroe returns to the gates of Buckingham Palace. Same uniform, same rifle, same perfect stance. But this time, something's different. Families don't just take selfies. They bow their heads. Children wave quietly. Veterans salute. And among them, Noah, sitting in a wheelchair, being pushed by his mum, waving a small British flag. He doesn't speak, just smiles. Monroe doesn't move, doesn't wave, but his eyes soften. Tourists continue to arrive. Cameras flash. But a plaque now rests discreetly on the side wall. It reads, "In honor of Guardsman Edward Monroe, who showed that sometimes the strongest thing a soldier can do is break silence for what matters." We often believe strength is found in steel and noise, in booming orders and visible force. But sometimes strength is in stillness, in presence, in principle. And sometimes it takes moving to protect what you're standing for. This isn't just a story about a guard. It's about who we choose to be. When the easy thing is to do nothing, but the right thing is to step forward. Monroe, motionless at post. Noah, at the fence. Their eyes meet. Freeze frame. Cut to black. A single line appears. "What would you have done?"